today we will discuss how to work with your attachment style so you can have better relationships. Yeah, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're single, whether you're trying to call in your ideal partner, partners, this is going to be really beneficial for you because attachment style comes from our childhood. Now, our relationship with our primary caregivers, whether it was a mother or father or you had other caregivers, our relationship with our primary caregivers mirrors how we attach in romantic relationships. And so often that style that we presented as children, it comes up in romance. And it's really important to understand this because if you want to be fulfilled in your relationships, if you want to improve your relationship or your relationships, understanding your attachment style, understanding the signs of it, understanding where you're triggered, why you're triggered, how you're triggered is going to help you grow. And I'll also share in this episode tools for each style as well, things to think about, reflect on, journal on, work through so that you can work your way to secure if you're not already in that bucket. Which, excuse me. If you're not already in, which I'll also give you tools to work through so that you can improve your attachment style, bring you closer to secure if you're not already in that bucket. And really only like 50% of the world is insecure. Yeah, according to online sources, 50 to 60. Honestly, I think it's less. But with consciousness, with more conscious parents, we're helping rewire the world for secure. So attachment's a fascinating topic. I love it so, so much. So that relationship, with your early caregivers impacts how you attach in romantic relationships, how you show up, where you're triggered. The more you understand you yourself, the more you're going to be able to work with it. The more that you understand your partner, the more you're going to be able to work with your partner. Understand your partner. Not take things personally. Understand where it's their learned behavior, their way of attaching that's impacting how they're showing up or how they're receiving you. And so in this episode, we'll talk about beginning effects, what it looks like as a child, and then how it manifests later in life when you have these different attachment styles. So there are secure and then there's insecure styles. So there's a total of 4, and the way I'm going to be speaking to it. So let's start with the insecure styles, The first one being anxious, preoccupied, So if you're anxious, preoccupied, attached. Now, that can come from if you have a parent that is inconsistent. So maybe they're present, but maybe it's inconsistent. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not there. When you cry, when you need them, their love, when you need help. You develop what's called anxious, preoccupied attachment style. Now, how you can tell if you're anxious is the biggest core wound of an anxiously attached person is fear of abandonment. So when you are anxious, you associate as a kid, you associate connection with safety. I am safe when I am in connection with my primary caregiver, when I am in connection with my lover. So for example, you think about a kid, maybe the age of 2, and let's say the kid is playing with building blocks, in a room, and the mother comes in, but then the mother leaves maybe for an hour and the kid's distraught. The kid starts crying. And when the mother comes back, the kid with anxious attachment, they will probably be still distraught, crying. The parent will try to console them. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. They'll still be crying, until the parent finally makes them feel safe again. And so as a adult, when you're anxiously attached, when your parent, your parental figure was present but not always present, you're going to fear loss of the connection. I will speak to what it looks like in relationships, Actually, I'm going to go into that. In later in life, in relationships, if you are anxiously attached, yeah, those people can be predisposed to what we call limerence. Limerence is something where you become like hyper obsessed about someone. Yeah, you can't stop thinking about them. You're wondering what they're doing. Even if it's someone maybe that you've met like for 10 minutes, but you become obsessed. You make up all these stories in your head about, you know, your future together, what it's going to look like, or they're, you know, feeling like they're reciprocating the feelings, even if you don't know. Okay, you're more predisposed to limerence, this sort of like obsession about people, putting them on a pedestal. Later in romantic relationships, yeah, anxious, preoccupied, you are going to have anxiety whenever you feel a sense of disconnection because you associate connection with safety. If your partner, let's say, is looking at their phone and not connecting with you, you might take it personally. Yeah, it might mean they're not interested in me, they're disconnecting, they're bored with me, right? You might make up all these stories in your head real quick at the first sign of disconnection. Or if your partner doesn't text you back within a certain amount of time, you will view it as a disconnection and be afraid of loss of the connection, and you want to reinvigorate that connection quickly. So oftentimes people who skew anxious, they're kind of this like that quote unquote needy energy. I'm gonna like try to pull you closer, give me validation, talk to me, even if we're fighting. I can't bear to be fighting even for a moment. You know, it's that feeling of relationships are fragile. I fear the fragility of relationships. I fear that someone could leave me any moment. Yeah, because for you it feels fragile. Any sort of disconnection creates a lack of safety. So anxious, yeah, in conflict, you're going to really try to pull your partner in. And if you're with an avoidant partner, yeah, it's going to trigger the opposite end and they're going to go even further and run for the hills. Let me think if there's anything else on anxious. Anxious, all attachment styles have different things called activating strategies. Yeah, or ways to work with their attachment to cope, but in non-healthy ways. So an activating strategy for an anxious attached person is you might be like thinking about someone, thinking about your partner or an ex-lover constantly in your mind as a means to, in a subconscious way, keep them closer to you, or always talk about them when they're not around. Yeah, that's a way to keep them close, keep them in your field. Yeah. And so being conscious of that's really, really important, right? So you can work with that, so you can come into greater sovereignty. Now, oftentimes we gravitate to people with the opposite attachment. So a classic example is anxious and avoidant. Yeah, they always gravitate towards each other. Now I want to just check, good, make sure I'm recording here. So an avoidant, yeah, a dismissive avoidant, because there's two types of avoidance. We're going to dive in. A dismissive avoidant is if you grow up as a kid and let's say you're 2 or 3 again, yeah, maybe your parents they're never really available. Yeah, few and far between. They leave you alone for long periods of time. Maybe they don't give you a lot of physical contact, a lot of love, so you become hyper independent as a child. Yeah, so a classic example is you see that 2 or 3-year-old, yeah, playing with some building blocks in a room. The mother comes in, says hello. Maybe the mother or the parental figure leaves for an hour. Now the child is still distraught, even though they might not be showing it. And then when the mother comes back, yeah, in a dismissive avoidant child, they're going to ignore the mother. They're not even going to react to the mother coming back. They're going to be in their own world. Even if they're feeling distressed internally in their nervous system, you're not going to know. They're not going to show it. Now, the deep core wound of the dismissive avoidant, yeah, is still, it's like something's wrong with me, I'm not loved. They still want love, but they're confused. Why are my caregiver not coming? But instead of like reacting and feeling those feels, it's repressed. Yeah. So it's like, ooh, something's wrong with me. I'm not loved. To protect myself, yeah, I'm just going to do my own thing, be independent. Now, how that manifests later in life is a dismissive avoidant. Their biggest fear is loss of freedom, of being trapped. Yeah, so in relationship, if you are in relationship with someone who's anxious and you're an avoidant, and we go to the opposite because it perpetuates that cycle, it keeps our identity, quote unquote, identity alive, yeah? Because the avoidant wants to be needed so that they can prove their identity by then pulling back, maintaining their independence. And so an avoidant is going to feel boxed in different ways, right? If the intimacy's too heavy. If their partner is, if you're an avoidant and your partner is maybe demanding something from you. If you're an avoidant, you may not be listening to this episode. I'm not sure. So I'll say if your partner's an avoidant, yeah, they're probably going to shy away from intimacy, from vulnerability, because it doesn't feel safe, because they're not used to it. They didn't get that as a child. What feels safe is being independent, yeah? So they'll probably still honor, if you want to go out with your friends, they'll probably honor your boundaries. If you need some space, they'll honor it because they're that way, yeah? But they're going to shy away from attempts for closeness. Or if you are asking for something from your partner and it comes in a way that's demanding, yeah, they're going to close. Yeah, they're going to feel constricted. They're going to go the other way. Now, avoidance can also be hypersensitive when they feel like they're being criticized. Yeah, because as a child, yeah, they felt like something was wrong with them. They never got love. So this feeling of criticism activates that wound in a subconscious way. And that's why they can become very sensitive to any sort of feedback. So knowing that, being conscious about how you communicate with someone who is dismissive avoidant is really, really important. We call it dismissive avoidant because it's kind of like sometimes you feel like they're dismissing you, yeah, or they don't care about you, but deep down they do, yeah? Or maybe you feel like they might be greedy or only looking out for themselves, which isn't the case. They do it as a mechanism to feel safe within themselves, yeah, because it comes from this mentality of hyper-independence. It's a natural behavior of an avoidant to only look out for themselves, right? Take care of themselves, not rely on anyone else. Yeah, it's kind of can be often this like black scarcity mindset. Then we have a third bucket. Yeah, the third bucket of insecure attachment. And this is a fearful avoidant. Yeah. Now, I've fallen into this category, also some of the anxious, right? So you can be both. Obviously, I've worked with my attachment. I know it really well. I've rewired it to secure it. But sometimes old patterns die hard, yeah? Now, fearful avoidant, these kinds of people don't develop proper attachment strategies. You know why? Because they often grow up in homes that can be challenging. Yeah, now I'm not going to say my life was amazing, yeah? But I'm just saying I have some of this aspect in me, yeah? And the anxious. They grow up in homes that can be challenging. And they cannot properly attach. Why? Because maybe they have a caregiver. There can be many reasons, but maybe they had a caregiver that was an alcoholic, or that was verbally abusive, or that was physically abusive, yeah? Or just the home dynamic was unstable. Yeah, so they didn't know if they act one way, are they going to get love or are they going to get punished? Yeah, and so what happens with that is you become hyper vigilant as a adult. That's like, those people that are super sensitive to subtleties. Ooh, I noticed a shift in your energy. Ooh, I noticed like you looked at me this way. You walked in faster than you usually do. You look down at this moment, yeah? What does that mean? So you're super sensitive to cues. You know why? It's a coping mechanism to be able to read their caregivers, yeah? To be able to read, ooh, what's going on? Yeah, what's happening? How can I keep myself safe? Now, later in life, as a fearful avoidant, you can become perfectionistic. Why? Because you try to control yourself. That's the only thing that you can't control. So you try to be this perfect version of self to get love from your caregivers. Because remember, that environment was unstable. So maybe sometimes you get love, sometimes you don't get love, you're confused. So the only way for you to cope is to become a perfectionist, right? It's kind of like that people pleaser energy. I want everyone to love me. Yeah, hello, people pleasers. There's so many of us in the world. It's common. Yeah, we don't want to demonize anyone. Remember, we have parts of all of these within us. So we don't have to box ourselves in. What else with that? Now, fearful avoidant, their biggest core wound is fear of betrayal and mistrust. Now, this is how you can tell the difference. If you're like, I don't know if I'm a fearful avoidant or I don't know if I'm anxious. What's your biggest wound? Is your biggest wound abandonment, or is your biggest wound being betrayed by someone? Not being able to trust people, that kind of like guilty till proven innocent, or not being able to trust maybe the close people in your life, waiting for the shoe to drop. Like often a fearful avoidant, yeah, they're okay in the beginning stages of a relationship. But as a relationship progresses, it's kind of this energy of like, I'm going to wait for the shoe to drop. I'm going to wait for them to disappoint me. Yeah. And it's interesting. You think about oftentimes fearful avoidance, yeah, they have jealousy, a lot of jealousy that they often repress, and it manifests in other ways. Hello, for me, it can be anger. Yeah, and I'll pretend, oh, I'm not jealous, but then I'll say something really mean and disrespectful. And so for fearful avoidant, yeah, let's say you see someone hitting on your partner. And let's say your partner isn't into it. Maybe they're enjoying it just a little bit, even though their sexual energy isn't open towards this person. Yeah, you may still feel a betrayal of trust from your partner, and that will create jealousy and frustration and anger. Yeah. Now you may not go the route of anxious. You may not feel that you're going to be abandoned, but you feel like they're untrustworthy. Yeah. So the biggest wound for a fearful avoidant is trust. Now, fearful avoidance also in relationship can be this sort of rubber band effect. Pull me close, push me away. Pull me close, push me away. I'm going to pull you close and push you away. And what that comes from is, I give you an example of like you think about maybe a dynamic with a child and the father, a fearful avoidant, or the mother, a parental figure. And maybe it's kind of this energy of, I'm gonna be angry at you, but then come over here and give me a hug. And then you go over to your parent begrudgingly and you give them a hug. Yeah. And it's kind of this confusing feeling, because it's like, I'm feeling angry at this person, and sad or mad or whatever it is you feel, and I feel love, and I want the connection at the same time, and that's confusing. And that's what often happens with a fearful avoidant. Yeah, they feel both of these feelings at once. You can feel that for your partner. Ooh, I want to be close to you, even though I want to chop your head off right now, even though I am completely angry at you right now. So with a fearful avoidant, yeah, it's confusing, right? They can love you one moment, hate you the next. They can be turned on one moment, turned off the next. So it's really, really interesting if you fall into this bucket to track yourself. Yeah, to track that effect. Where am I fearful? Where do I want the connection, but I'm fearful? And then where do I then become avoidant? Yeah, so if you're like rubber banding in and out of intimacy, you can identify. And if betrayal and mistrust is a trigger for you, yeah, that might be a sign that you may be fearful avoidant. Now, one thing that I want to say also that's interesting is, and then we'll talk about secure, is we go for the opposite, yeah? So you can be anxious and go for a fearful avoidant, or go for a dismissive avoidant, yeah? Often those pair. A secure person may also end up with a fearful avoidant or a dismissive avoidant, yeah? Or an anxious. Let's say they're with a dismissive avoidant. That can heal the dismissive avoidant over time if a secure person, because secure people, I will speak more about this, but secure people, the way they'll respond, giving love, allowing the dismissive avoidant to come into them as they feel ready, to not put constraints, be really mindful of not putting any sort of boxes or constraints where the dismissive avoidant may feel constricted in the relationship, but letting them feel seen and accepting them for who they are. Yeah, over time, it can wire them to being secure. Now, on the flip side, a secure person can be with a dismissive avoidant, and over time, they can become anxious. because it can weigh on them. Yeah, so it's important to be conscious of your own style, where you're at now on your meter, how the relationship is impacting your meter. Yeah, so check in. Where am I now? Where am I? And let's say, where was I a year ago? Where am I now? Where am I now? Where was I 5 months ago? Yeah. Am I feeling more secure? Am I feeling less secure? Am I feeling more activated? Am I feeling less activated? Now, what is a secure person? A secure person is when you grow up in an environment with parents who generally met your needs. Yeah, you felt safe to cry, to express as a kid, to name when something doesn't feel good, and your parents validated you. They received you with love. They gave you care. They gave you attention. Yeah, they acknowledged your independence, your sovereignty. So when you grow up as a secure child, yeah, you have healthy boundaries, yeah? You know how to name your boundaries. You're not afraid to name your boundaries. You don't fear that naming your boundaries is going to create a loss of a connection. You don't feel that relationships are super fragile, yeah? You are able to be vulnerable. You're able to share from your heart. You feel confident in that. Conflict doesn't feel so scary. It doesn't feel like, oh, just because we're in a conflict now, I'm going to lose my partner. You understand conflict is a part of relating. It's a normal part of relating. You also understand that relationships go in phases. So whereas an anxious person, they want the honeymoon stage always. And when they're not in the honeymoon stage, they feel unsafe. Yeah. An avoidant, a secure person understands it's normal, yeah, to be in these waves. Doesn't mean the relationship is going to dissolve, yeah, and it may, who knows, yeah, you can never 100% know, time will show, yeah, but they allow themselves the spaciousness through the conflict to work through it. They also value, yeah, I'm going to give you space to be yourself, to express, to process, to do whatever you need to do. I'm going to take space to do whatever I need to do. Tools. If you are if you think that you're anxious from this, yeah, what you can do, what would be really helpful for you within relationship is to identify when something is activating you. Yeah, like when you feel like you want to grasp at your partner, you're dying for closeness, yeah, to check in. Like, what am I making this mean? My partner's not texting me back and I'm sending them a million texts. What do I make it mean when they don't text me back? That they're going to leave me, that they're bored with me, that they're not interested, that they're cheating. Yeah, what do you make it mean? And write that down. Journal on that. Yeah. And then question it. Is that true? Can I generate other alternatives, or what could be the case? So let's say it's the text example. Alternative A. They're busy. They're working. B. They're not looking at their phone right now. C. They want to respond, but they want to be present when they respond. D. They're out with other people. Yeah, and so they're not responding. E. They looked at it and maybe they are being careless. Yeah, they're not responding because they don't feel like it right now. Yeah, but just the process of generating alternatives is going to help you ease your anxiety. And then identify, what is it I need right now? So I actually created a needs assessment workbook that's super helpful because it talks about the 6 main basic human needs. And it's like certainty, uncertainty, and novelty, contribution, growth, significance, love, and connection. Yeah, and identify, what is it I need right now? Yeah. And I'll also put the link here because it's going to give you a lot of helpful insight to actually work through some of these basic needs and figure out how to address them verbally with a partner and how to address them internally with self. It'll be super helpful for this episode. But yes, what is it I need right now? And where can I give it to myself? And then where can I ask for it? So if it's the text example, what is it I need? Babe, I need to just hear from you that you're busy, that you love me, and that you'll respond to me X tomorrow, in 2 hours, whatever it is. Yeah, I'm feeling activated. And the more that you are in touch with that and communicate that in a neutral way, in a relaxed way, but also in a vulnerable way, yeah, the more success you're going to have with your partner. So identifying, yeah, as an anxious, where's the trigger coming from? What am I making it mean? What do I need? What's the basic need that's lacking, and what do I need? Use the basic needs workbook for this. What else? You can also check in about anything that you've been like hyper vigilant about, obsessive about. Yeah, something that's looping in your mind. Yeah, it's looping. What are some alternatives? Is it true? Okay. If you are dismissive avoidant, yeah, and you're listening to this, bravo, yeah, you can feel into, where am I feeling like I don't have freedom right now? Where am I feeling constricted in my freedom? Boxed in. Yeah, when my partner does X. And then I will challenge you to write down all of the ways that you can cultivate your own freedom, that you are actually free. Because that's going to help you challenge the avoidance, challenge the beliefs about your partner, which are going to help you minimize the avoidance over time. No, I am actually free because I have choice to be in this relationship. No, I am actually free because I have choice to meet their command or desire or not. No, I have choice because I can go and do whatever I want. I'm a free being. Yeah? So to write those down and affirm those with self on a daily basis or whenever you're triggered. If you are fearful avoidant, yeah, identify times in which you feel mistrust for partner or that you're going to be betrayed. And then affirm, is this true? What is evidence that my partner is trustworthy? Yeah. And allow time and reality to show you, yeah, without jumping to the conclusion that they're not. So if they haven't done anything to wrong you, yeah, so far, or if you've communicated about it, yeah, okay, I'm feeling activated now. What is the fear? Yeah. What are some validations for them? And also, what are some validations for self? Yeah. What could that look like? I'm an incredible person. So if over time I see that they are betraying me and I have actual evidence for it, I know that I can always leave and that I will make another person so incredibly happy because I am such an incredible person. I am smart. I am funny. I am playful. I am interesting. And affirm self. It's super important here. And if you're secure and you're with someone in one of these buckets, it's good to understand that. And through your security, through your compassion, through your patience, through your understanding, yeah, you can help heal your partner. And if you were secure or you had some secure tendencies, now you're going the other way, right? Good to be aware of it. Ah. Love this so much. So deep here. Attachment is so, so deep, so beautiful, such an important element to understand for relating because I teach a lot about communication, expression, and I also work with masculine and feminine energies to help empower, yeah, you women, couples, yeah, to have inner union of your masculine and feminine. Yeah, so you can assert your boundaries. So you can assert your desires on the masculine side. So you know who you are, what you want, what you deserve. And on your feminine side, you're connected to your heart, to your intuition. Yeah, you're able to surrender, to receive, to be curious, because you know your masculine's always got you. Yeah, but understanding attachment is an essential component of this because it's an important aspect for relating. You know, understanding how your childhood impacts how you relate. And the more that you work to bring balance and harmony, yeah, and through your energies, you're also going to help rewire your attachment. That's one way into doing that. It's been a powerful journey for me working with my fearful avoidant, or some call it disorganized attachment, and anxious, and rewiring that for secure through many different ways. Thank you, beautiful, beautiful people, for tuning in.